If you're like me, a working professional in the mid-20s who wants to travel but doesn't really have the time or the money, well, this series is for you. I've been lucky enough to visit almost every country on the continent, so I've got some great recommendations and backpacking advice to give you so you can travel in your spare time. In this video we're going to look at Poland, but don't worry, I'm not going to make you stay in the cheapest dorm in Krakow or make you stay with 20 other people and eating the cheapest kebab on the street. That's not the idea. I want you to be comfortable whilst also having a really good time on a budget. So in this video we're going to look at 3 cities, and that's Krakow, Warsaw and Gdansk, which are some of my favourite cities in Europe overall and can be done for less than €350 in just 5 days. That means you could only take 3 days off work if you take 2 at the weekend. So, how to get into the country, and like in every advice video I give, I'm going to drop you at Ryanair airports because it's the cheapest to get into and out of. Luckily, all 3 are served by Ryanair, so I'm going to suggest you fly into Krakow, just because it's the most expensive city of them all. So I always advise you start at the most expensive and work to the cheapest, which in this case is Gdansk. So, how to get between the cities. Again, the train network in Poland is brilliant, and it's relatively affordable as well. To get between Krakow and Warsaw, you're going to be spending about €11, which is just under 50 zloty, the local currency. And between Warsaw and Gdansk, it's €18, 78 zloty. I'll leave a link in the description to the train website where you can book online in advance because it's cheaper. So super easy to get between all of them, and I'd also suggest you fly out of Gdansk, which again is a Ryanair airport, very budget friendly and can be accessed from many other places across Europe. Okay, so where to stay, and I do recommend you stay in hostels. It's the most social place, but I'm also going to recommend some private rooms, hostels as well, in case you don't want to stay in a dorm. I usually stay in 6 beds, so that's the prices I'm going to give you. Some hostels you'll be able to stay in bigger rooms for cheaper. However, I think in your mid-20s a 6 bed is fair. So in Warsaw, the Okie Dokie hostel is €26 for a 6 bed. And it has curtains on it as well, which is ideal. They have a bar that's just opened up and a beer garden, and it's located just outside the old town. So perfect location, really social hostel, but also modern, and we really enjoyed our stay when we went there. In Krakow there are loads of options for where you can stay. If you're after a more party vibe, try the Greg and Tom Beer House. Which offers an hour of free beer, and it also offers free breakfast and free dinner. They arrange loads of tours as well, and it's a really good hostel. If you're after something a little bit more chill, try the Meininger hostel. Again, all the links are in the description, which do offer tours as well, but it is a slightly calmer vibe, and you'll be paying about €26 for a 6 bed dorm there as well. In Gdansk there are a lot fewer options. I recommend Mama's and Papa's hostel though, which costs about €15 for a 6 bed or €40 for a private, which is actually pretty good value, especially if you're travelling with somebody. So those are the 3 hostels I recommend. I've heard good things from all of them, and they all kind of do the job for a hostel. And next, the things to do in each city. Now again, these are all on the Google Map link in the description. You can just download it and it will download all of this to your Google Maps. But in Krakow, it's the most expensive city of the lot, definitely, just because it's the most touristy, and there's a lot to do there. I recommend doing the salt mines. So you go down in an elevator and you see the old salt on the wall. That's a really cool thing to do underground. Ticket prices are quite expensive, they're about €30. Your hostel might offer a guided tour, however you can just go alone. You don't need to be on a tour for this one. If you're going to go to Auschwitz though, definitely recommend the tour because it's quite far out the city centre. I'll leave a link to a Via tour one I did in the description, which was really good and has got quite a lot of good reviews on there as well. That one costs about €30, whilst you've also kind of got to do the beer tour, the bar crawl in Krakow. Your hostel will arrange one to the Greg and Tom hostel does arrange their hostel. It costs €22, which doesn't sound cheap, but that includes an hour of unlimited drinks and free entry to bars as well as free shots, I believe. If you want to go on your own pub crawl, I'll leave some recommendations for pubs on the Google Legend, but I do recommend you always do a bar crawl with the hostel. It's a good way to meet people, and it's a guaranteed laugh. So I'm going to assume you're going to do 2 of these 3 activities I recommend, so those all go in the running total I've got in the corner down here. Moving on to Warsaw, where you'll spend a couple of nights. There is less to do than in Krakow, which also means it's cheaper. So the main thing to do is ride a bike around the city, and I really recommend you do this. You have to download the Veturio app, I think it's called. Again, links in description, and you can ride around the city. They've got bike lanes and the huge park, so I recommend you visit Lazienki Park, which is I think it's the biggest park in Warsaw. Particularly in the autumn time, it's beautiful with the autumnal leaves, and it's got a really nice vibe about it. You can also cycle over to the Palace of Culture and Science, which is one of the most famous buildings in Warsaw, and you can go up to the 30th floor for stunning views of the city. That costs about €5, again running total in the corner. As well as the Keret House, which is the narrowest house in Europe, I believe, and is now an art exhibition. So you can go and visit there too. But the best thing about Warsaw is just going around and visiting all the bars, restaurants. Again, links are on the Google map. And the shot culture, the vodka shot culture. They have quite a few of these vodka bars with all different flavours, so I recommend trying those as well. And Gdansk, which is actually my favourite city in Poland, just because it's a little bit underrated and nobody's really heard of it. The houses in the marina are stunning, like typical Polish colours, beautiful in the centre, and also it's the most affordable place of the lot, so you don't have to worry too much about checking restaurant prices in the main marina bit. If you're after a day trip, you can go to Hell, even though I only suggest spending 1 night in Gdansk, and it's like a really long spit. You can get the train along, which in the summer is popular for beaches, but in the winter it's a little bit abandoned, which has quite a cool vibe about it. Yet you can still go on the beach, and it's got quite a cool name as well, hasn't it, being Hell. Food to try in Poland, the sauerkraut is unbelievably popular. It's not up my street at all. It's kind of like pickled cabbage, which can really take over the taste of the food. Not my thing, but you should try it because it's typical Polish. Borscht, which is the beetroot soup, which I was a fan of, and the dumplings, they're pierogi. Places where you can find these, again, in the Google Map legend. I've also added a note to each of them saying what I recommend eating at that restaurant and what local dish. But particularly if you're going to try kind of the more expensive restaurants, Gdansk is the place to do it, just because it's just so much cheaper. So you can try good versions of the meals. Maybe you've had to skimp on a bit in Warsaw and Krakow. That is your Young Professionals Guide, €350, 5 days in Poland. Please subscribe if you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next video.